In this video, we're going to look at how to tie on the fenders. Now, I also call these frienders because they're absolutely brilliant friends to stop you damaging the boat, which is going to save you an awful lot of money in GRP repairs. So they're super useful bits of kit, and they often get they don't get as much credit as they should do, but these pretty much just act as your little silent bodyguards to the side of the boat when you're not around. So the two knots we're going to look at is a round turn and 2 half hitches, and also a clove hitch and 2 half hitches. Now with the round turn and 2 half hitches, that's going to be for a berth which doesn't have an awful lot of traffic going through, so there's not an awful lot of waves to deal with. But if you're going on to a berth which maybe has quite a lot of traffic going by, a bit of boat wash to deal with, then you're probably going to look at using the clove hitch because it's a bit more of a secure knot. But we'll start with a round turn and 2 half hitches first. Okay, so initially then, we'll start by learning this technique from the outside of the boat and looking at the knot, and then we'll look at how we adjust the height of the fenders from actually stood on the boat, because that's where you'll be doing it in context, in reality. So a round turn and 2 half hitches, the round turn part of the knot, pretty obvious what that means. At the moment we've got a half a turn round, we just do a full turn around on the guardrail there, and then we've got our tail bit left alongside this bit here, which we call the working line. So the working line is the line that's doing a job. In this case, it's got a fender on the end of it. So to do our half hitches, if we've come up on the left-hand side of the working line, what that means is we cross over to the right-hand side there, and we create that cross over the working line, and that creates this little gap here. What we're going to do from there is to bring our tail through this gap, and then we're going to slide the hitch up towards the round turn and secure that hitch so it's nice and close to the round turn. The whole point of a knot is to have friction, so friction going through the line. So if we can get that first hitch nice and high towards the round turn, then that gives more friction. You'll notice that the tail has come up on the left-hand side again, so we just repeat the process. We cross over to the right-hand side, we create this little mouth here, and we bring the tail through from the back end, and we slide the hitch up towards the round turn. Now you can see I'm using my thumb and forefinger there to kind of massage that up and get some tension going through the line, and that's going to make your line a lot more secure. Again, so if your fenders do take a bit of a battering whilst you're away, then everything will still be there when you get back. So this is your round turn, 2 half hitches. So the second knot we're going to look at to secure the fenders is called a clove hitch and 2 half hitches. The reason why you choose this knot over a round turn and 2 half hitches is if you're going into an area where there's going to be a lot of water traffic, maybe a lot of wash coming off other boats. So your boat is going to be moving around an awful lot in relation to the pontoon or whatever you've secured onto. So this is a very robust knot. So it starts in exactly the same way as the round turn in 2 half hitches, but unlike the round turn and 2 half hitches where you go around next to the working line, on this particular knot you cross over to the opposite side of where the tail is. So my tail is currently on the left hand side of the working line, and we're going to cross over to the right hand side there and pull the tail through. So when we're in this position, we can then make a little bridge with the tail line there. Try to keep a bit of tension on here, otherwise the fender will slip. And then we grab hold of the tail and we thread it through the bridge. Keep it all going away from you, so it's going around the guardrail. And then we've got the clove hitch secured there. Now, even if I let go of that, that has got some tension going through there, which is a lot greater than the round turn would be. If I'd have let go of a round turn, obviously the fender would just fall straight in the water. So to finish that off then, we do exactly the same as what we did on the round turn and 2 half hitches. If I've come up on the left, I cross over to the right hand side there, which creates this little opening here, and we thread the tail through from the back, and we slide that up towards the clove hitch, massage it into place. Same again, left to right, create the little mouth, and then we slide that up nice and tight, and then we can be pretty sure then that this fender line is not going to move regardless of what it has to deal with whilst we're away. Okay, so what we're going to look at now is the different heights that a fender could be at. And obviously that all depends on the thing that we're securing up to, what we're berthing up to. At the moment, the height of the fender is set to the pontoon or the jetty, which is around about 50 centimeters off the waterline. So the general convention or a start point for fenders is to dip them in the water and then come up around about 10 centimeters. So what I commonly call dip plus 10. So if I dip it down in the water there, I can put the line on the working line and then just bring it up 10 centimeters. And that usually means that the fender, when it makes contact with the jetty, is somewhere, the contact point is somewhere in the middle of the fender, which means the load is shared through the fender. So that would be your normal convention point. So we'll just make that off there with a round turn and 2 half hitches. But sometimes we go into a berth and the jetty is a lot lower. Sometimes you can have jetties or hammerheads that are only, say, 20 centimeters off the waterline. So what we'll need to do is, if we see that's the case, is quickly untie the round turn, and we'll drop it down just so we see it rippling in the water, touching in the water. We'll get it nice and low, and then we can re-secure. So this would be the second height that you might need to use, but not that regularly, if we're honest. And the third height is just underneath the rub rail. So if you're going to secure alongside, say, a wall or something that's pretty flat and it's as tall as up to the rub rail, we're going to need to adjust the fender height to be much, much higher. So we'll bring it all the way up, so just by the rub rail there, and that means that when the boat or the fender makes contact with the wall or whatever space you've come into, it's always going to have a lot of bounce room to keep it away there. So we could secure it with the top part, the neck of the fender if you like, just underneath the rub rail, and then we can make that off in exactly the same way. And there we go. Those are your 3 heights that you could use a fender at.